Hi guys, do you remember this? Yes, this is the Christmas layout from last year. Now, it does still work, which is a good thing. However, there is a slight issue with it, and that is that some of these other locos don't like the trap feeds. I've just got a feed back here on the layout. There's a dodgy fish place I think on this section here, and a little bit of a volt drop at the front. So I want to improve it for this Christmas. So once we've got the trap feeds connected up, we're going to look at doing the rock faces. So bear with me while I get all this cleared off and the layout ready for soldering, and I'll also bring you closer in so you can see what we're doing. Okay, for some of you this bit's going to be like sucking eggs, but I was asked previously to show how I solder onto the dropper wires. So what I'm going to use is I have a fiberglass pen to initially clean the railhead, give it a scrub. I'll try and do as much of this as possible without getting in the way of the camera, but some of this is going to be not possible to do much about that. I've got my gas soldering iron, which I shall get warm. I have some red wire which I'm going to strip back just a little bit on the end. Just that much, try a little bit. So I shall try to do some of this in camera view. Never wants to settle that way though, does it? I have some no clean flux in a pen, which once I'm ready to solder on I shall apply a little bit of flux onto the rail just where I've cleaned it. I'm going to clean the tip of the soldering iron in my tip cleaner. So I'm going to apply the heat under the wire because heat rises, and then just add a little bit of solder, job done. So we now got a nicely tinned end of the wire. Now I'm going to apply the flux. There we go, it has dried out, so that's a good start. So we'll apply some flux onto there. And again, I shall apply it with the soldering iron with a little bit of solder on the end. Try and get a good contact. Trying to do this without looking at the getting in the way of the camera. So there we have a nice blob of solder on there, and then we just get the wire, touch the two together, a little bit of heat, job done. So I shall now do all the other wires. You don't need to watch me do all this. I'll do the other wires, poke them through the board, and then we'll get on to the next bit on the scenery. Now, having soldered all the wires on, it's easy to get it through to the underneath the board. Just going to use this screwdriver, push through the foam and feed the wire through. It should go through. I made a hole. Famous last words. It goes all the way through, miles through there. That's better. And just feed it all the way in. edge underneath, and ta-da, just like that. And I'll do the rest of the wires, pull them all through. Next thing we're going to do is start with the rock faces along here, around the tunnel portal here, and on the wall along here as well to the other tunnel. What we're going to use for that is bark, common garden bark that's put down in the garden to act as a mulch. I'll pick this up out the garden, and I'm just going to get a saw, a little hacksaw or something, and cut this into slithers because it's got a good rock face texture on the front. And then we're going to layer it up and build it up around. We're going to stick that on with hot glue. So here we have the bark cut, trimmed and painted grey with car primer. So we can sort of, I've roughly layered them there, but we can glue them on in rock layer formations and then go around the edges with some filler. So I'll get my hot glue gun out. We'll get sticking some of these in some sort of order. And we simply just get glue, dollop on there, stick it in a spot like that. Get this piece here. As well, just stick that. Try and keep it where the lines, stratifications, whatever the word is nice and level. We'll fill in the gap with some filler. I shall just carry on adding a few more bits. Got a big piece here that'll go into the water when we do some water on here later on. Just stick it there, will do nicely. We can even use this rock here to make like a little island in the water. And there will do nicely. Got this other long piece here that will make a ledge on top. We'll just find a piece that can sort of slot in over here. I reckon maybe that there. So there we have all the rocks in place. Spin that around here, as you can see. So we'll now just get some filler and we'll fill in around the rocks to blend them into the surface. For the sake of continuity, we are now several weeks later because I had to get some materials. If you remember, well, you will remember because you've just seen it. I glued the bits of bark on in place and I've now filled in around them to bed them into the scenery so they're not just stuck out. The material I've purchased, I was hoping for something like sculptor mould, and according to the internet, the Woodland scenics mould-to-scene plaster is their equivalent. But what I've noticed is this is very gritty. which my understanding with the sculptor mould it isn't quite so much. But anyway, I'm going to bring you around to this side of the layout and I will show you what I've done on this side here. Tub of water. Now the box does say 236 millilitres of water and oh no, hang on a minute, I've got to read this again. English, oh it's up there, I found it up here. So 8 fluid ounces of plaster and add 3 fluid ounces of water. So I've no idea how much that is, but I'm going to do it wrong no doubt according to the book. But I'm just going to add some together and thoroughly mix. Every minute more than that. That's a better mix. It says get in there with your hands and do it, but I like to try and keep a bit clean. But you can see how gritty the texture is. But it does, you squeeze it together and it does bind as a lump. But yeah, that's rather squishy. So thoroughly mix and combine it. Easy as that. Oh, that's better. Just goes more like less water squeezing out of it. I'm making a mess on this kitchen counter. Luckily the wife is out at the minute. So over to the layout. So as you can see, these are all just ledges here with great big enormous gaps underneath. But, you get loads of room under there. And we just want to fill these rocks in so they're sort of part of the scenery rather than a great big vacant hole. So I'll literally just feed it in. More and more until it packs it out. Just pack it in. I'll wedge it underneath the bark. And just sculpt it in there a bit, just give a bit of shape. And on the top where there's gaps, all I then get is a stiff brush and just brush off the loose from where I don't want it. Clean the faces up. We're going to paint the rocks yet. This is just the grey primer was just a base coat just to get things started. So I've now just got some water, wet the fingers and smooth the surface over. Now this side is dry. What I can do is go around the small crack polyfiller and I'm going to make the level crossing. I'm going to build up around the edge of the rails where the snow's going to be and tidy up this area a little bit on the edge of the hill just so that it's ready for painting prior to adding the flocks. So now we have the filler on all around the track. We've made a bit of a level crossing here, and that blends everything in together. So the next job will be adding some colour. I'm going to add spray with the airbrush all the bits of bark that's still exposed in black, and then that'll be ready for weathering down. I'm going to paint the road grey and a soil colour for the ground cover. And this is because I don't want to just put snow on the ground flat white. I want to add the texture first below the snow and then sprinkle a light dusting of snow on top, so it sort of matches rather than just everything's just a blank canvas of white. I want less under where trees is going to be and more snow in the open areas and on the flat ground. So I'm going to call that it for this video, and so the next video will be adding the colour and the initial layers of ground cover. So I'll catch you later. See ya.